Hello, I'm Leroy Staley from Trinity College in Newport Richey. You're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Well, hello there, Tampa Bay, and welcome to the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk. I'm your host, Coach Chuck White, and my guest is Coach Leroy Staley, basketball coach at Trinity College, and for some of you who may not know that, it's located at Newport Richey. He's had two illustrious and successful years with them, and we're going to tell you a lot about it, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this show because Staley is one of our own Tampa products. But before we go any farther, I just want to say, Staley, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Coach White.
I noticed you say you were born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but you grew up in Tampa at a very young age, though, so how much do you know about Fort Lauderdale? Where do you accept being hometown?
Well, I accept being hometown at the age of 1.
Yes.
So, I left Fort Lauderdale, came here, and Tampa's been my home.
There you go.
So I know very little about Fort Lauderdale.
You grew up in Tampa and you attended the public schools. And you really made a name for yourself because I can remember when you were playing in this early basketball. So let's talk about when you first came along in basketball, or was it baseball?
Actually, it was baseball first at Forest Heights Little League in Carver City. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, played and then got into basketball with the boys club.
Was Randolph Kinsey or Glenn Puremy had anything to do with you in baseball at that time?
Had a lot. Glenn was my first basketball coach, and he taught us a lot of fundamentals. Randolph Kinsey, he was the one that started me in baseball when they came to my house and asked my parents if I could play baseball.
And you had some athletic prowess behind Roland Park, you told me at one time.
Oh yeah, a lot of playing baseball behind Roland Park and playing basketball on the outdoor courts in Roland Park.
You did start your early ages in Tampa. Well, talk about your junior high school or your junior varsity athletic prowess.
Well, in JV at West Tampa Junior High School, I started playing with them at the age of, actually in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And then they shipped us to Pierce in the 9th grade, and we actually in football played football and played basketball for Pierce. Mm-hmm. So we had two successful seasons. We went undefeated in football and went like 6-1 in basketball.
Undefeated, wow.
Yeah.
I understand that Coach Ben Moore, who was a great basketball player and basketball coach and a good football player, had something to do with y'all. Was that during that undefeated season?
Yes, yes. He was very instrumental. He used to take us to a lot of basketball games.
Okay.
When the ABA, when they had the Pacers and San Antonio, and he used to take us to the games and let us watch the games and keep us out of trouble.
What about Coach Dale Clay? I understand he was a coach at one time with you, Coach Dale Clay and Marcus Parler.
Oh yeah, I was from my 10th grade all the way up to my senior year. Unfortunately, I came out my first game and got hurt after the football season my sophomore year and was out the whole season, but came back my junior year and my senior year. Of course, my junior went to the state tournament in Jacksonville. And then at that point, I played my senior year. We had a good season, and of course we lost to Hillsborough in the district. and then went from there.
But let's go back now. You say you got hurt your first game of?
First game, first play.
Oh my God. That means you were out for quite some time.
Yeah, I was out the entire season.
Wow. And what grade were you in then?
10th grade.
Wow. Boy, that's a heck of a thing there. First, not only the first game, but the first play.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know you probably wanted to cry during that time.
Well, I did a lot of that.
But something more unusual, I guess something very unusual happened. You told me that there was one school, but two teams there. Jefferson Lato on double session.
Yes.
Well, how did that work?
Well, it worked out. We went to school in the mornings, and Lato, well, I take that back. Lato went to school in the morning, and we went to school in the afternoons. So we had our practices in the mornings, and had school in the afternoons.
Okay, so while one school was having classes in the building, the other school was practicing their sports.
Oh yeah, we had practice time. Yeah, they let us use the gym, even though they ended up being one of our rivals, but you know, it worked itself out.
When the games come, how did you work that out?
Well, they worked it out. I was pretty much out that season, so it didn't bother me that much.
So you didn't worry about it at all?
No, not at all.
You didn't even go to the practice field?
No, because matter of fact, I was rehabbing at the time.
Oh yeah. Well, any of the coaches ever come by to see you or do anything to help you try to recuperate or rehab?
Coach Clay used to drive all the way to my house from up north and pick me up, take me back to the school, and he would work me out, and I really kind of owe it to him because he really got me back in shape.
Now, when you say from up north, you're talking about North Tampa.
Yeah, in the Loops area. Yeah.
Not
that far north.
Yeah. Well, I know that's a very unusual thing. I was coaching at Blake, I guess, at that time when Blake was supposed to go on double sessions. And I didn't want to leave Blake because that was my alma mater. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to go to this double session. I heard so many things about you using the same desk that the other person used, same locker room and all this.
Yeah.
And a lot of things can happen to bring on some fringe things, hostility, whatever. But I didn't want to go, and I ended up leaving there, going to Hillsborough Community College, being the first basketball coach, or the first ever coach over there, because they had no campus. We started out in potables, and I said, wow, maybe I should have gone to a double session, but we made it out. Let's talk about your college. I know you did go to Indiana, but it looked like something happened. You didn't go to Indiana your freshman or sophomore. You went someplace else. Talk about that.
Actually, under Tom Wilson, I ended up going to Florida College, and Tom never really recruited me, but you know, I asked him for a scholarship, and he happened to have one, and I think that was a big turning point for me, was going to Florida College.
Yes.
Because it kind of put me back on the straight and narrow, to where it gave me structure and a lot of rules, and that's some of the things that some of the kids don't get a chance to go under, but it helped me out a lot.
You know, I try to tell parents and I try to tell students and the community, one of the best things ever happened to us in all areas when they brought in the junior college or the community college. I coach at the community college and taught classes and whatever, and my three daughters, Yolanda, Marinette, and Monica, they all went to the junior college. And I think the junior college give you a chance to get yourself structured on the ground a little better. It's just like when you're teaching swimming, you don't start in the deep water, you start in the shallow water.
Exactly.
Well, the same thing about education. You don't just start up the high level to be successful. If you can start at a community or junior college, come back home, talk with your parents on a daily basis about what happened, still get suggestions and being talked to about how to go through the junior college. It's paid off for many people, and I know many people. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's a major stepping stone for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when we were talking about high school, you talk about going to homeroom. Well, at Florida College, you go to chapel every morning, you know, Monday through Friday, and you didn't want to miss chapel.
Yes.
But that's one of the things I felt that kept me pretty straight.
Yeah. There was something like a church school or religious school.
Yeah, it was a small Christian college.
Right, yeah. After you were successful there, did you play any sports there?
I played basketball there my freshman year and my sophomore year, and I was pretty successful. Coach Clay ended up being the assistant coach at Florida College, and Tom Wilson, and they both really got me in college form.
You had some good people supporting you, and you being the type of athlete and with the nice character about yourself, everybody wanted to help and did help you, and you received that well. So you had 2 great years at the community college, your freshman and sophomore year. Then you went off to Indiana, I believe it was.
Indiana State, yeah,
Indiana
from
State.
Terre Haute, Indiana.
Tell me something about that.
Well, my junior year going there, I felt we had a better team than my senior year. We turned around and went to the NIT and played well and lost there in the tournament.
I understand that one of the great basketball players of all time was Larry Bird. Was he there then, or had he gone?
No, he was there. We played my junior and senior year. We played together at Indiana State and had 2 successful years.
Wow.
Of course, you know, we were undefeated going to the Final Four, and we won our first game. Then we ended up losing the championship to Michigan State when they had Magic Johnson.
Oh,
In
Magic.
that group, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about Magic?
Magic's good. I mean, it's hard to guard somebody when they're smiling the whole time on the court.
Smiling the whole time and carrying the ball back here.
Oh, yeah.
Looking one way and passing the other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he and Larry were supposed to be rivals, but at the end they turned out to be pretty good friends. How did you receive that, or what can you say about that?
Well, I feel that, you know, basketball is always going to have rivals.
Yes.
But those 2 big names were very good for basketball because they opened a lot of people's eyes up at that time.
I know the guy who coached you in early years, Coach Randolph Kinsey. He and I was very, very good friends, and we would come out and watch you play in high school, and he always called you his son. Why did he do that?
Well, it's just my character and his personalities. You know, I can always go and talk with him, and he would always give me insight on everything that I needed.
Yeah. He had a grandson went to Jefferson, Torrance Kinsey.
Yeah.
You familiar with him?
Oh, yeah.
And I guess you and Coach Kinsey had a lot of togetherness, because I think he said you would visit his house quite often.
Every time I came home, I would go by and visit him.
Yes, yes. And that's how I got to know you, through Randolph Kinsey. You guys played down in Florida somewhere when you were in Indiana, and Larry Bird was a popular name, the high publicity person, and he and I was supposed to go down there and see you and Larry Bird and all that play. I think that was Stetson Hatters.
Yeah, the Stetson Hatters Classic at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
And something turned up. I think somebody died in my family, or we had a funeral, and I wasn't able to make it, but he did. And he said that Larry Bird was everything that they said he could be, and whatever have you. So how did you see being on the same team with Larry, that you looked at him as a real superstar as the news media did, or you just say he's just another teammate? Or How did you get along? Talk something about
Well,
that.
we all got along. We had a very close-knit team.
Yeah.
We all worked hard at practice. And the coaches pushed us a lot. You know, one of the things I liked about Larry is he would be in the gym an hour before practice and an hour to 2 hours after practice. And we kind of fell in that same wagon. And so we all just kind of, you know, we didn't look at him as being a superstar. We looked at him as a teammate.
Yeah.
You know, he worked just as hard as everybody else did.
Or harder.
Oh, yeah.
So he led by example.
Oh, yeah.
You had something to do with AAU after leaving college.
Yeah, I had an AAU team in Oklahoma City that was real good. I took those kids over and had 3 successful years with them. And now they've gone on to be attorneys, lawyers, and they all graduated out of school, so I was glad to hear that.
After that AAU, you had something to do with the student assistant at Indiana. You said your eligibility had run out, but you were still enrolled in school, and you were hired or assigned as a student assistant to the basketball team.
Yes, yeah, I was a student assistant working with the players and really kind of learning how coaching really is done. And it's a lot to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You went to all of the staff meetings of the coaches, and you...
No, not all of them.
Well,
some of them, but basically I ended up working with the guys in practice.
So you weren't just a full-fledged coach, you were just a student assistant coach. And when they go to the field, the coach would tell you what he wanted you to do.
Exactly.
And you did those kinds of things. How were you able to achieve the position that you have now at Trinity College? Tell us something about that.
Well, Coach O saw me at a game, and he asked me what I was doing and had me to send my resume to him, and went from there. And he hired me, and I've been coaching ever since.
During these 2 years, you must have had some type of experiences you want our viewers to hear about. Why don't you talk about that?
Well, some of the experiences I had, like I say, just putting Tampa on the map and doing, you know, this basketball and then working and, you know, going through a career and just living life.
It had to be some ups, some downs, and whatever. Talk about some of the good things or some of the most unusual things that happened.
Well, one of the most unusual things is one of the things that I looked at Ricky as a good friend, and he played at University of Louisville. And one of the things that I wanted to do, I always wanted to do a game better than Ricky, because they made it to the first round of the Final Four, and we ended up making it to the Final Four.
After being a high school player at Jefferson, did you ever get a chance to go to the state basketball tournament?
Yeah, I had a chance when I first came back and went there and looked at some games, and it's not in Jacksonville anymore. It's in Lakeland now.
Lakeland, right.
Yeah, it's a lot closer.
Yeah. Coach Randolph kids and I would always brag that we had seen about 40 state basketball tournaments, and kids would say, not only seen every tournament, we've seen every ball bounce. He's always been there. Kids that would ever leave. I don't know how he stayed there. When they put us out in his last years, he would tell them that he had some kind of handicap. He had to stay there. He couldn't fight the steps or something, but we would leave.
Okay.
Yes. Well, anyway, we had that to happen to us. So what would you like to say to parents or high school students that they could profit from some of your experiences?
One of the things is being dedicated. Being dedicated not only to sports, but being dedicated to school. Because that's one of the things that's going to get you ahead in life is school. And you can't do anything without it, hardly. So I would say stay in school. You know, if you play sports, play as hard as you can and listen.
Listen is the thing, yes.
Yes.
Not only listen, but adhere to the things what you heard.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell me something about recruiting a high school player. You ever get a chance to do that, or how do you go about recruiting?
Well, we do showcases. We'll bring players in, let them play against each other, look at the skill levels, and we would try to talk to them, see if we can get them in school, because basically when you look at it, you know, Trinity only has maybe about 150 students, 3 buildings, no gym.
Wow. Oh my God.
And no scholarships.
Wow.
So basically, you know, we're one of the cheapest schools in Florida. So some of the kids that come, they're able to afford it.
Did you have any success, like winning any championships of whatever level or that you were participating? Did you ever go to any tournaments and play in them and win?
Well, we're actually 2-time national champions.
Wow.
With the small college, Christian college. We've just won about 3 weeks ago the National Invitational Tournament. And we had a chance this year, which we set the bar high. We went into the NCCAA, which is National Christian College Athletic Association. And we made it to the regionals, and we came in second in the regionals. And we were invited to the national championship in Acton, Iowa. But we lost our first 2 games, but when you look at the top elite 8 in the country, we were number 8.
Wow. Of the country, the entire country?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Well, let me ask you this. You didn't have a gym, or you don't have a gym now?
No, we use a community center.
Yeah. So you're able to use the community center where you play your games?
In Newport Richey Community Center.
Same place where you practice?
No, actually we practice, well, we do have afternoon practices, but we also have morning practices at the YMCA early in the mornings.
Well, we got the NCAA college basketball tournament coming up, and I can say Gonzaga is one of the top shelf team. They're sitting in the #1 spot, I think, in the West. And Villanova is the #1 team sitting in the East. But I think North Carolina and some other schools going to have something to say about that. But, you know, Villanova won it last year, and a lot of people are feeling like Villanova may win it again. How do you feel about that?
You got a lot of tough teams in the tournament. Anybody can upset anybody. And Villanova's got a great team. Kentucky has a great team. Gonzaga definitely does. And so it's wide open.
Yes, anybody could win. So they say tournaments are freaks. And when you go to a tournament, you can throw all your records out of the window, because it doesn't matter where you're placed, you can win if you do the thing you're supposed to do. And sometimes you get some breaks, as they say, some breaks advantages over the other team.
Well, you know, sometimes it's one of those things to where little things happen, but it's like your whole season starts over again from that point.
Yeah.
And you just go hard, you work hard, and you want to achieve it, and you want to win it.
Do you plan to go and carry your team there, or your coaches or anybody from your Trinity College are going to the tournament?
Not that I know of right now. We're trying to work on next season, recruiting, and seeing what players we can bring in along with the other players.
Well, Coach Staley, we want to say thanks for having you stop by and enlightening our many viewers and listeners to the things that you've done in sports, and we've really enjoyed having you. So thanks again for being here. Well, that's it for the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk. We certainly hope you've enjoyed this show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. So be with us again on our next show right here on the Tampa Bay Community Network Sports Talk.